Greetings, fellow Earthlings. I'm Neil. So when you're writing, there are definitely multiple perspectives, like POVs, point of views, and also there are different writing styles and techniques or literary devices they can employ to make your writing sounds more plausible. And then basically, there is a writing style called deep narrative writing. If you're interested, you can just search it online. And then if you just search about it, you can find multiple like writing prompts. Like for example, from masterclass, you can have these kind of video lessons, or it is like a premium. Yeah, like 8 tips for using immersive point of view, how to use those kinds of writing styles, or and also from the New York Times, you have the 500 prompts for narrative and personal writing, and also another one 650. Yeah, basically there are a lot of resources out there, and also this Ludwig.guru, a deep narrative English example in context. And basically, if you're ever part of a community, writing community, you can like definitely check out some of their analysis and discussions, or also workshops. While you're writing, you can consider yourself the dungeon master or the director. You are shooting a film, and then everything that you're about to write is within your mind. And in your mind, you can think of like if you ever used Unity or Unreal Engine, you will know like there is like first the camera. The camera points at what location so that the game engine emulates the location and then the characters. So basically, you can check out like you can try different filming styles, right, the Dutch tilt angle or whatever. You can have all those kinds of techniques employed in your writing, right? You can also use like you can speak from the killers or the villains perspective, and also using whatever way to flesh out your characters to make your protagonist sounds plausible. And basically, if you are a dungeon master, you are going to create a lot of NPCs, non-player characters. And then how to make these NPCs more realistic, then basically it depends on data analysis, meta-analysis, basically like the personality studies, their drive and their character arc, and then like their connections with the players and whatever. And basically you can draw from real life examples, and then like there are indeed like certain writers who had I think it's a female writer who wrote a novel that is based on the neighborhood, the particular neighborhood that she lives in. And then after her novel gets published, she just basically being cut off because like everything that she wrote is, is like everybody knows what, like their bases are like. Like where did the characters in her book come from? Like who are they based on? So basically, you're just trying to, like, our imagination is unlimited, but there are certain limitations or like certain discrepancies or lack thereof that we lack. Sometimes we need a guidance, right? So these character examples, like basically you can go to LinkedIn and then see a person's entire profile or whatever, and then you can try to imagine their personality and whatever. And if you are like a lawyer or whatever, or a writer, you need an archive or a translator. Everything that you have translated before, you need this database. Basically all of the ideas, you can just jot it down, and then you can revisit them. And then also like a mind map and pneumatic palaces, and also memory palace. If you ever watched the Sherlock Holmes, you will know about the memory palace. Basically, you need to have a mind map or a knowledge map. Yeah, like just to make sure that you are actively engaging your imaginative or creative mind in constructing these kinds of characters. And also, basically, like you need references, right? So, for example, if a person who is hot-tempered, and then after seeing hot-tempered, this phrase, you can instantly refer to a friend that you know, or some movie character, or some person in general. Like basically, if you have a reference or a scale or something like to give you this, at least this like, parameter of the things that they can include or add to the characters in your book. It's a really good reference scheme. And also, while you're trying to create a writing prompt of your own, you also need to think about like the time, the location, the people, the persons involved. Basically, if you want to set something, it's like a LA noir kind of setting, or like set in the 80s or 60s, you have to have this kind of the basic knowledge of what goes on there, and what the people's their like thoughts are, or the media's attention or the public attention on what kinds of topics or subjects. So today's writing prompt, I don't know, it's also like about treasure seeking, something like that. So basically like this character, like basically you're going to think about the time of the day, perhaps the person, the location, and all those kinds of things, the references. When a man bites a dog, that is news. When a dog bites a man, that's not news. So basically like you have to figure out like basically the readers or the audience's psychology, like what kind of things that might catch their attention, might grasp them. So basically like we are all interested in treasure hunting, all those kinds of cartoons that we had watched while we grew up, and also we like also interested in the Pirates of the Caribbean, or the video games The Sea of Thieves, basically. So treasure hunting or finding something out there, or valuable out there in the wilds or in some exotic location is quite fun. So basically this one is like a person who had inherited nothing but a minuscule plot of land in the middle of nowhere and a shovel. So basically this gives a call to action, like, right? So basically you inherited this land and you inherited a shovel. What are you going to do with the shovel? What are you going to do with the land? You're going to dig, right? So the one-eyed, so basically like wanted to give this protagonist some kinds of traits or personality or limitations. So he only has one eye, and then people might like get these creative juices flowing. Like, how did he lose an eye? Is it lost in a dew or lost in some kind of an accident, right? So that's another trail of thought that, or like breadcrumbs that one can dive into, right? And also like he just wanted to go there and sport the idea of dig up something, and then when he went there, he's surprised to see this big X marker, like marking the location where to dig. So that's just like might guess like some people interested, and they might just want to write something about it. Basically just like arousing an individual's curiosity, and like basically like while you are thinking up of this writing prompt, you have to think, is this something that I personally want to write about? If so, then how can I improve upon it? Or if not, how do I give it the twist or just spice it up to make it interesting to someone else? And also you also have to know, like, sometimes you just can't find a good enough writing prompt to get you interested, or everything that you read, like you can see, is all posted like about half a day ago, like 12 hours ago. And if you write something about it now, you're unlikely to get something like upvotes. So you just have to get it. Like some days are like great, like the business are doing great, there are a lot of customers. Some days, like probably when it's raining or whatever reason, you just don't get a lot of traffic. So that's something that you have to take in mind, take heed, to be mindful of. Basically like this constant fluctuation, like even the solar, the sun has its pulsating phases, right? It has like the rise and so basically like something that you have to just be aware of, at least a set of schemes or formula or something to help you to work through some of the difficulties you might face in everyday life, or you might encounter in your daily lives. So now today the writing prompt is quite interesting. Like, you hired that crazy old blacksmith that forged Excalibur just out to stop people from making fun of him. To show his thanks, he calls you to the forge a month later. Turns out maybe he isn't a crazy old man. So basically like the first thing that comes to mind is like some kinds of a steampunk setting. And then the weapon that he might forge is like something that they can borrow from Gears of War, the chainsaw submachine gun, something like that. And then and also like take heed of the 5 whiskeys in a hotel. And then the key words I'm thinking like this blacksmith is not a dwarf, but he doesn't drink alcohol. Instead, he smokes cigar or his homemade tobacco or whatever. And also he's going to make a lot of trinkets, like little magical items, like that gives you certain buffs to your weapon when attached, and then your weapon has like sockets or something like that. And then like the location of the shop, is it going to be like in some rundown neighborhood? No, I don't think so. Maybe it's going to be like in the middle of like a forest, something like that. And then there's like a waterfall, and then there's like a water wheel that basically like turns everything inside this. So basically like his shop is going to be fully automated in a steampunk setting. Yeah, that's like quite interesting. So basically like the setting is like first, how do I introduce the scene? It's by auditory, right? Like first the audience is going to hear this foghorn or the ship's horn blowing, and then they are seeing, and like from auditory then to visual, and then they're going to see like steam rising, which introduces the steampunk aesthetics and background. And then my steel-rimmed boots climb every step up to the wooden structure with a flag depicting a hammer and an anvil, using extremely expensive violet dye, no less. So basically this means like this blacksmith, he's not just a random guy. He has a flag. A flag has the association to some kinds of a club or brotherhood or association. So basically he's not just alone, and then he's using like this flag is using expensive violet dye. If you're going to basically like the purple or violet or jasmine colored dye is the most expensive out there. And then the black hammer and anvil, of course, is the blacksmith. And then the flag drifted languidly against the backdrop of azure sky. So basically like introducing it's the daytime, and then it's a fine pleasant weather. And then like the white vapor ascending towards the heavens, again referring back to the steampunk setting. And then the Lord of all seven directions, if you're interested in Mayans, Maya, in the South Americas, they have this kind of a prayer that prays to the seven directions, up and down, north, south, east, and west, all these are kind of so basically like this world, or the main protagonist, he is like has certain beliefs or certain like gods, something like that. And then well, if you wanted to read more, you can just pause, and yeah, that's it. And anyway, thanks you for watching, and we'll see you next time.